Thanks for tuning in to My Prerogative Podcast. I'm
And
Nikita,
I'm Moses.
and today we'll be talking about energy vampires and narcissists. This is one of Moses's key topics, so I'm really excited to see all that he has to weigh in.
I feel like you just put me on blast a little bit. Like, this is Moses' area of expertise. Like, oh, shit.
Okay. So before we get started, Moses, what's up? How was your week?
It was crazy. It was crazy. A lot of work, a lot of
It was great.
new students. So when you add new people into,
That's a good
it's a good thing. But just adding new people in the rotation, going to different places in DFW, it's like, oh, it's definitely an adjustment. But I'll take it. What about you?
Where did this flux of new people come in at? Like, where did you get the
Uh,
new students from?
Mostly just like advertising on my like social media, things like that. Just like, hey, if you're in DFW, you want lessons, I do that. And so, it takes a while, but the people started coming in. Some older students I had from back in the day also reaching back out to me too. So, I'll take it. We will take the increased income over here.
All right.
What about you? How was your week?
I'm gonna start. But my week was cool. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna start with narcissists first. So the first question is, does a narcissist know you think he's kind of crazy? I love how it's geared towards, like, a lot of these questions were written by women because it's, he did this, he did that, my narcissist boyfriend,
This truly feels like it's coming after me now. It's like, he did this, he did that. Damn. Like, are narcissists only men? No.
I don't really hear about a lot of narcissist women, though, or a lot of narcissistic stories involving women. Like, I don't know if men really know that when they're dealing with a narcissist.
I think they do. I don't know if a guy would like post about it on the internet as a question on.
Oh, so he wouldn't talk about it, but he would know that
probably because you hear stories like that,
and
where it's like, oh, that girl's crazy. It's like something like, but
yeah, but that's the extent of it, though.
Yeah,
she's
crazy.
Like,
we just like, damn,
that's it.
She was kind of crazy. We just move on. We just keep going. We just keep trucking. Like, she was a little crazy. That's life.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's not all wrapped into crazy, because some of it can be like a mental disorder, like bipolar, or, just personality disorder. I think if you don't know how to identify it, you don't know what the fuck you're dealing with. And then you just attribute it all to them being crazy, when some of it can be fixed with medication and some of it is they're just really fucked up. So I think
I see what you mean, where it's like, I think guys understand like the different, obviously some guys do, but guys understand like the different, I guess, things it could be. I think that was just like a easy catch-all term I was just using to simplify it then. But like, yeah,
they understand the nuances.
And especially, I think nowadays is like, I think the emotional side of men is becoming more of like moving more to the forefront, where it's like, I think, it's going to become a thing that we can talk about more and more. Yeah.
I agree.
Indeed.
Especially with the whole mental health movement. Yeah, it's like, let's talk about, I feel like before, in the past, it was so taboo for men to talk about their feelings. It's like, it was really attributed to like all this girl shit, or, that stop being like a woman, but now it's more like it's being more embraced, I feel like, in the like male communities. So
like tied to a kind of toxic gender role, like even in that sense, that's like a form of like toxic masculinity, in the sense of like, it's not good for the guy, like it's not good for us to act that way, like it's toxic masculinity that negatively affects a guy. Like, like it goes. It's one of those aspects that it affects so many people negatively in so many different ways. Because like my dad didn't do
Yeah.
that. He didn't talk about his feelings ever. Like to me, he was just like a rock.
Mm,
It's like, oh, that's just
yeah.
what.
I mean, like, but when is it the green light for like a man to talk about the way they feel? Because I know it's
Mm,
such a vulnerable thing to a lot of men. It does something to the ego. So is it only acceptable to talk about it behind closed doors when you're with your spouse, or is it acceptable to openly discuss
I remember.
your feelings
I think
from a male's
I was on
perspective?
TikTok and I saw a video talking about something like this where it was another podcast with it was a bunch of women members of the podcast, and they were talking about how men don't open up to them, but they open up maybe like to other men, like to their friends, because like, and I was like, that's kind
Hmm.
of true. Where since like I feel like some guys feel like they
You think
can't
so?
be as vulnerable with their partner or their spouse, but yet like guys are very vulnerable with each other. Where it's like I tell I tell my friends know
Mm.
like a lot about me. They know like almost everything about me. Where it's like, oh,
Do you think it's because the delivery is different? Like they are able to have these conversations with their bros and like that bro format of a conversation as opposed to like they may feel that when they're with their spouse, they have to kind of tweak it a little bit and it doesn't come off as natural, like they talking to like one of the guys.
maybe. I think what I heard from the discourse surrounding it back then was it kind of has to do with what you're trying to project to the different types of people. Or I think some guys think of it as like being vulnerable in that way is unattractive or less manly, will make their spouse or partner like them or see them in a different way or like them less. Whereas like I think
Mm,
there's no
it's the
image that you
opposite.
have to put up for like your friends, like your guy friends. Like they don't have to view you in like a particular kind of way. They're like, oh, like you're just you. Like I feel like guys aren't that. The relationship's not that. It's still deep, but not that. I guess nuance that you have to say. Okay, like Moses, that wasn't very. I don't know, manly of you. Like, oh, no, Moses, you're just Moses. Like, yeah, just me. And I don't think that's necessarily.
That just seems
I
backwards
was
as
about to
fuck
continue to say,
though.
I don't think that's like healthy and like a good way to think of it because I think that is also a holdover from like the older way of thinking about like how partners, men and women, like relationships should like you should interact like, oh, like you're a guy, you should be strong and like not vulnerable in emotions because that's what she's gonna like, and that's not necessarily a healthy way to think about it. But I think it's still, it's societal. It permeates and exists like in some way in some people. Because like it is weird that like because like I think
Okay.
if people are analyzing, I guess the behaviors and relationships of like of men, I guess specifically, I guess cis straight men, it's like, huh, you guys are way more vulnerable like with other guys than you are with like your your female partners. And it's like, huh, like why is that? Like I'm like, oh, I don't know. And we're like, we don't know.
I think
Hmm.
communication is really important to a lot of people, especially it's crucial to relationships. And I think that, I mean, like, how solid is your relationship if you feel like you can't
Hmm.
come and communicate with your spouse, but you feel more free and more open to communicate and be vulnerable and discuss your feelings with your friends, but not your spouse? Like, that would make me really question if I was in a relationship with somebody and they felt like that they couldn't come and talk to
Hmm.
me. So obviously there's some type of barrier there. But yeah, it seems backwards. It makes a lot of sense, and it goes back to like our last week's discussion when we were talking about merging a lot of the traditional ideology and just norms and modern norms together, where some people take from both segments and it doesn't really work like that. Like you can't have one foot in and one foot out, like because like
Yeah,
it creates just a different type of problem. So
I concur.
I think that's interesting. All right.
Oh.
So here's the second question. What is it about a good time or vacation that sets off some narcissists to fight and ruin it?
These, even though,
Sorry. Because that is so true.
I'm not gonna lie, even though there's no mention of like a gendered perspective in that question, I feel like I felt it where it's like so Moses,
Yeah.
why did some guys feel the need to ruin such a nice trip? It's like, I've heard.
I honestly don't
That one
understand
felt
the guilty
super, like-
conscience behind these questions.
Like I could
Gender
imagine like,
specific, like-
any of my ex-girlfriends saying something like that where it's like, Moses, why do you want to ruin such a good nice trip?
I mean, but real shit though, like I can recall like a lot of instances where we are like I would be like on a girls trip or with like some homegirls, and they would call to check in with their spouse and come back with an entirely different mood, like super low vibrational, like don't want to be shit, just want to get back home to kind of secure the relationship because their fucking narcissist as partner done said some shit to them to fuck up their vacation and their good time.
So this is like a scenario of like, okay, I see it's like girls try like the girls on a trip, guys like at home, like something like that. I thought I meant
Something like that. Or even like if they did both go on a trip and I don't know, something happened where maybe, they were going on a guide and she smiled too hard at the tour guide. You know what I mean? Like they were going on a tour and she smiled too hard at the tour guide and now the whole vacation is fucked up because there was just a slither of a moment where the attention wasn't on wasn't on him. Or her. So any of
Thank you
those,
for
like
adding
it could be
other
any situation. Because it happens both ways. Like let's be realists. Like it's happening both ways.
Like, or the other way.
But see, don't blame me because you just said out of your mouth that a lot of men don't like to be vulnerable and open up to women and to social media and to the world about narcissistic and toxic as behavior with their significant other, to kind of highlight the man's perspective of these toxic and narcissistic women that they deal with. So sorry, but not sorry. Like, blame your male counterparts for feeling like the way you feel right now.
Got very intense. I feel like this was like the most intense one. Is this a podcast or is it now a debate? She's like,
okay, sorry. Let me pipe down. I'll pipe down.
All right, this is to be academic. Oh wow, it looks so different. Looks so professional. Okay, what was the question? I just repeat it again for me.
Yeah, so what is it about a good time or a vacation that sets off some narcissists to fight and ruin the good time or the vacation?
So funnily enough, I've never really been in this scenario. Well, I guess I've never been in that scenario before, but like, I guess from a narcissistic point of view, I guess when you're not around, as the proximity increases, as you go further away in distance, maybe they feel like their control over you also starts to weaken. So it's like maybe she goes across the country, so it'd be like, life is pretty nice without this guy around. And she'll come back and look at life all different. I need to remind her and let her know, like, hey, don't have too much fun. Grass ain't that greener on the other side. So maybe I would assume that's the mindset of like, like they're not controlling you. You're essentially free in almost every sense of the word when you're separated from them on a trip. And I guess even like if they're on a trip with you, it's still kind of the same thing. Like you're out of the regular routine. Like you're probably at the biggest moment where you could be like, huh, life sucks with this guy. I'm gonna move on. Like the sun is shining over here. It's like, yeah.
Mm.
Because vacations like naturally just have that effect on people where it's like, man, I feel refreshed and like life's pretty beautiful and interesting. Like this is a nice, you know what I mean? Your good feelings are at max, and I feel like that highlights
Yeah,
any negative
for
or
sure.
bad things in your life as well. Where it's like when I go on vacation and come home, I feel like I always like improve on something that like maybe was eating on me before. Like, man, I love that feeling on that vacation. I'm gonna try to get my life to that level of like Moses being happy again. It's like, you're out first.
I don't know. I just speaking from a vacation perspective, like I always feel
Because you're having so much fun.
hella drained when I get back from vacation. Like that whole, yeah, I need a vacation from it. But it makes me like always like I have that in the back of my mind when I'm about to go on a vacation, like shit. I can't turn up too much
Hmm.
because as soon as I get back, like I have to go back to work and it's really hard to readjust. But yeah, that was a really good point for that question. Yeah, you kind of the fear of losing control and losing your grip because they may see something that kind of makes them click like, "Oh shit, you know,
Like life could be
I
life could
could
be so much
probably
better.
do better over here or do better over there." So yeah. There you go. Yeah. Um, this is an interesting question. My narcissistic ex blocked me. Why do I want him back or want to contact him after all the emotional and physical abuse?
Next time, next
That
my prerogative, I'm gonna come on with like a suit and like a Dr. Phil like outfit, be like, now let's analyze that question.
You know what? If we ever like discuss something like this again, I'm gonna just change all the he's and the
see,
hims and
see how my
boyfriends
answers
to
change.
her,
You gotta wait a little bit. I gotta
girlfriend,
forget about you
she,
saying that, so it's natural. Like,
right?
okay, but you just gotta remember, like, oh, Moses, she said something different that time. Like, oh,
Yeah.
the chat will remember. They'll be like, got him. Um, so the ex blocked her, and she's like, why do I still want to like get in contact with him?
Yeah.
Mm, okay, so I can only speak on, I guess, like there are. I'm gonna assume it's universal. I'm gonna speak on, I guess, how it feels like from my point of view, like when something like that happens to me. Because like I feel like that's pretty universal. Like when
Yeah, for
someone like
sure. Yeah.
kind of gets under the skin and like then they block you, and it's like, God, I just want them. I want the answer back. Like, I just wish they would talk to me. It's like I don't know. It's. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
very. I feel like it's a very human experience that like when it's hard to explain like when something's just taken away abruptly. I feel like you just want to interact and get it. It feels like a form of like manipulation, like to do that to like do that to someone. If that makes sense, like if it definitely feels like a power move where it's like
Mm.
talking. You know what, Nikita, block. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's almost like shit.
Yeah.
I want to fucking be the one to block you. Like, no, the fuck you
It's
didn't
definitely a
block me.
power
Like,
move,
I
right?
want the last lick.
It's
So it's an egoic, I think, thing to like feel like obviously the ending of this relationship and him removing himself or herself from you is the best thing that could happen for you. But it's like, once the ego takes over and it's like, what the fuck? Like, no, the fuck you didn't block me. No, the fuck you didn't break up with me. Like, I'm the one. I'm the breakupper. Like, not the break. So yeah, I think from that perspective,
it's
you may feel like that
that's
because,
that's
yeah, you
definitely a
didn't get
move
the
because
last
like
lick.
it
He
happened
did.
to me
And he
like
did that on purpose.
a few months ago. I was dating a girl, like we just
Or
went on like
she
a few
did.
dates, things like that. But like apparently like she was very I want to say in the nicest way. Maybe a little like negative or pessimistic about like her outlook on life. And me, I'm like very much like positive and like, I can do it. Woo! And so like she really said, Moses, you're too positive. Like you're like you're too happy and like go lucky, like oh like you just like I don't like it. Your happiness annoys me. But so then like I'm like, oh like I just responded like I tried to be nice. I always try to be nice back and like that just made her angrier. So then she's like, this isn't working. She blocked me. And like it did make me feel a certain way. Like that's such a power move. Like like it's like because in my mind I was like, damn, I wanted to block you. Like
Yeah. So what advice would you give someone like this person writing this post, this
I would
question?
say,
Like, what advice would you give
here's what you
someone when
do.
they feel like they didn't get the
You
last
block
lick?
you can still block them if they block you. So if they ever try to unblock and write back, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, you blocked me." Cut them off. Cut them out. Cut them out.
There you go. Right. But what about, but how do you know if he's trying to like reach you? Like a lot, I think a lot of things, like a lot of, a big thing for a lot of people when they break up with
Speak your
somebody,
truth.
I know it is for me. So
Speak your truth.
I'm going to speak from personal experience and personal perspective. I think like when I break up or when we break up, like I think a big thing for me is like the confirmation that that person is thinking about me and they didn't just like move on with their life and like completely forget that we've ever existed. So like if I block somebody, I find myself always unblocking them to see if they will text me or call me or some shit like that. Like so even if you were the second person to block this person, like
Okay.
I don't know, how would you know
So
that that
now
person ever unblocked you? Like
I think this truly shows like the difference in like
there's some
I guess
definitely
different people's like
confliction there.
breakup methods. For me, I'm the exact opposite. we if we if we break up, it's like you'll never hear from me again.
Shut up. It's like, don't
Like,
contact me.
it's like I'm gonna block you. We're out. Like
What?
I'm gonna rip the band-aid off like because like for me that's how I move
Oh,
on. It's like
wow.
if I because
Out of sight,
I
out of
would do
mind?
probably what you were doing like oh like they text me like oh man maybe they're trying to get like, I say no I can't put myself through that like I gotta go maybe like in a year or something I'll come back and be like oh let's see what the person's doing.
Oh, no. Like, I would look at the text message or the phone call and not answer, not
I
respond. Like, I just want to see that
I could see you doing. For some reason I could feel that
you
like I could
are.
see you doing.
Like,
For me, it's like I wipe everything out. Your text messages, delete. All the messages, like I don't want to, because I would do that too. I look back like, look at all the good
you
times.
wipe it out.
I wonder if she wants to text me. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I do delete that shit. Like, I don't want to go
yeah,
back and like see all the nice sweet texts that we
exactly. Like,
shared and that we exchanged. Like, fuck that. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to be reminded of that shit. But I do, yeah. So here's an interesting, funny question, and we'll pivot over to energy vampires. But um, why does the narcissist in my life always have to copy me? I told him I'm getting a nose job, so he goes and fixes his teeth. Is he always
Maybe
in? It's
he has to
always as
always be
if he's in
the prettier
competition with
one or
me.
something. I feel like yeah,
Or like if you get too much attention, like like he got to get some of that
yeah.
attention too. Like it can't
And
always
maybe it's
be
also like a
all the attention.
could still
Just
be like a
can't you
power
can't
play
get
thing.
your
Like
15 minutes of
if you're the
fame.
blatantly more attractive one, it's like, well, what if she realizes I'm not attractive and leaves? Like I have to always be, I don't know, like I have to always at least maybe he has to feel like he's the prettier one of the two or something. And it feels
Mm.
like I'm still the prize. You can't leave me. Like,
Okay.
that's an interesting one. That's definitely that one's pretty foreign
Yeah.
to me personally. I'm
That
like, huh.
makes sense. I mean, could it also be that she is making shit up in her head and that this she may inspire people to want
Hmm.
to, improve, do some self-improvements like, oh shit, maybe I feared, taking this leap of faith and getting whatever contouring or whatever work done to myself. And you went and fucking did it. And now it encourages me and inspires me to go and
Hmm.
fix my teeth because I didn't like my teeth. Like, sometimes it be in people's heads that people be hating on them or
Well,
copying
what
them
we're
or,
realizing is we're
like
pulling back the
whatever.
curtain and
Like
realizing the
sometimes a lot of
question
that shit
was written by a
is in
narcissist.
people's heads. Like, ain't nobody even really worried about you.
The narcissist was the person who wrote the question all along. It's like my narcissist boyfriend. Like, wait a minute, what if it's her? what if she's? What if he's just trying to be supportive and be a power couple and like, hey, you inspired me. She's like,
Hey,
you
that
son of a
is
bitch.
true. Right, exactly. Because if he didn't like do make an effort to like self improve and you're doing all the self improvements, like you're gonna look up and be like, you ain't on my level anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like you too complacent. You
Again,
too, like you need to, do some self
I
work and
feel
some, pour into
I feel
yourself
like that
more.
question was the
Like
most
so
like
that could have
go either
went
way question
left
we
really
got.
quickly. So
How
yeah,
do we
maybe
know?
this
Like he could
person
just be a
is a
nice guy. He
narcissist.
could be like, hey, I just wanted to. Yeah, we gotta watch these questions. Like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, is the person who wrote it the nurse?
Right.
She tried to get us on her
Yeah.
side. This is all a test. Like, can you?
That was another attempt of trying to swing, like, yeah, trying to like build your ego so
Just got
people would be like,
swept up
yeah,
in
he's
her
crazy,
side
da
of the
da da da.
story. Like,
The
wait,
whole
wait a
time
minute.
it's like
Let's.
you're the one that's the
He
fucking
didn't really
toxic
do anything
one.
that bad, did
So,
he? All right,
yeah.
energy vampires.
So do you feel like a lot of people who, the people who has these imaginary haters and, you know, um, imitators and
I mean, it could be
all of
the.
the above, do you think that they have narcissistic tendencies by
I mean, it
thinking
could be
that,
this.
or
I
do
think
you
those
think that they're
two
just
can be like
delusional?
very
Like,
linked.
what's the
Where like
draw
if you're a
between the
narcissist,
two?
like you could think like you're the that you're the center of everyone's like attention and world, and like oh like everything everyone does is in response or in some type of relationship to what I'm doing. It's like what if I'm just living my life? Geez, Diane, not everything's about you. You're not the main character. We're not side characters in your life. The type of person to call someone an NPC, like you guys are just side characters in my story. It's like no. Maybe I just wanted to do the no, Moses. You did that because I did this, and you were jealous. Like what?
Hmm. Yeah, some people are delusional. All right, energy vampires. What is an
Energy
energy
vampire.
vampire, and how do you know if you're in a relationship with one? So, an energy vampire to me is someone who, when you are in their company, like all of the energy and life is completely sucked and drained from you because this person, I mean, they make it all about them. And so your cup is full and you're, just living your life and you just want to hang out with somebody and they got all this fucking baggage and all this problem all the time. So it's not just like a one off
Mm,
where they're going through something. Like they're always going through something and they always need a pick me up and,
mm,
just somebody to pour into them. So when you pour into somebody, you're taking from your own energy and giving it to them. So an energy vampire to me is somebody who sucks the fucking life and energy out of you. And
mm.
I've been in the
No,
company of these type of people
okay.
where I feel
I get that.
completely like exhausted
Especially like
when I leave them.
I just what
So
you
to me,
described. I know
that's an
some
energy
people like that.
vampire.
Just like people who constantly like they're having like a bad. They need lots of like emotional support. Like almost like and like there's nothing wrong with that.
Need
On
some
like
shit.
on a like
Yeah.
tolerable level, there's nothing wrong with that. Like people have bad.
Yeah.
I said
Positive reinforcement.
on a tolerable level, like a tolerable level.
All the
Some people
time,
need pick me ups.
no.
Like that's fine.
Sometimes, I mean, you got,
It's the people who
on the what?
yeah. But there
Okay,
are
okay,
like
okay. I
people
didn't,
I know
okay,
who like
gotcha. Tolerable.
constantly like every time I talk to them
We
like
all need
having
pick me
a
ups.
bad day and like oh
We
Moses
all
like can
need,
you come over and like can you like do something fun and like I need you to help like I kind of get that. Like this seems like they're always just down in the dumps. But I think you have to be careful because, like, a person could just be genuinely depressed, and that's not their fault. I don't want to hold that against them.
hmm.
But like some people just,
That's true.
hmm,
But I'm not talking about that because you will be able to identify if it's like a clinical depression or something like
hmm,
severe where it's an emotional they're facing like emotional turmoil and it's
yeah,
clinical, right? Like they need professional help versus the people who just needs all of the attention and focus has to be on them and it's always about them and their shit and their problems and what the fuck they're going through and what somebody did and what
they
somebody said and how
they
somebody's
they they,
doing
they suck the
and
happiness out of you. It's
yeah,
like,
you just
thanks,
feel
Moses.
completely
I needed
drained
that.
when you leave these people. Yeah, I've been around. Yeah.
It's like thanks.
They just suck
I
it.
needed
They
some
take
energy.
it.
I'm good
Yeah,
now.
and that's
See
it.
ya.
And that's exactly what they do. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Like usually those people, a lot of the people that I know, like they also love to party. So it's like at the end
You're
of the
like,
day,
I
I'm
gotta
like
take the fucking
mentally and
nap.
just
Like,
physically
what
like
just
tired. Like,
happened?
okay, yeah, like see you, Moses.
And they're about to go turn up with your energy.
Like I have a friend like that, and
Like
she's like
your
the kind of
energy
person
to
who like wants
party.
to like go out and do something like every night, and she's like, and so like she's like, Moses, why don't you want to go out as much? It's like because you're you're an energy vampire. It's like I'm gonna be exhausted. I'm gonna be mentally and physically exhausted for the rest of the week. I gotta be like Moses, you only hang out with me like maybe like once a week, like maybe, maybe even that. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's all I got. I got more in my life than just you. I got to save the gas in the tank.
That's all I have.
But no, I
That's
get
all
that.
I have. Yeah, for you. Okay. Here's an interesting question. In my relationship, I became an energy vampire to my partner because I'm full of negative energy. This caused boredom and coldness from her side.
Yeah.
So, how can I fix all that and retrieve the spark in
set
our
her free.
relationship?
Set her free.
I would say go see a therapist and let her free.
Like,
Let her go and go see a therapist and work on yourself. Like, can energy vampires be healed? Do you think narcissists and because these traits overlap, they intertwine. There's
can these
definitely
people
a
be
great deal of
saved, Moses?
similarity. Like, do you think
Can these
that they
people be
can
saved?
be
Can
revived
they be?
of those toxic ass
Make it sound
traits?
like you're debating locking them up or something. Can these people even be saved, Moses? Like,
Can they learn to?
gonna see you give it. I mean, I think, yeah, I think,
Like, do
I
you
think
think
even,
so?
I
With
think even
like
if you're like
a lot of
diagnosed with like
therapy?
narcissism, or if you're like an energy vampire, there's probably if you're an energy vampire, especially, I think there could be some underlying, I think, cause in like maybe your life or something that's like making you need to sap the energy of other people. Like, so I think there is ways to I guess fix it. Self awareness definitely helps. I think like a narcissist who has no self awareness of it and like has no interest in like getting better at all, or like thinking of the interests of others. Yeah, I think there's a difference between that type of person and maybe like someone who is diagnosed with narcissism and like actively knows and tries to like, hey, let me try not to be like mean to like awful to people or something. Like, I think there's a difference. I think they can be fixed because like especially if you're a narcissist, like you could be diagnosed with that as like a disorder. So like they can
Hmm.
learn. It's something you can learn to live with and like get better at. Being an energy vampire, I think there could be real life underlying causes for that, like maybe like finances or relationship or something in life. Maybe if it gets improves, that you would be able to hold yourself up a little more. So I think it can be fixed, and like go to therapy. Go to therapy. So for that guy, you should probably go talk to someone.
Hmm.
Like you said, maybe take a break. Like you said, break up and like fix yourself. Maybe you guys can make it work down the road. Yeah, you saw me do it. You saw it.
There's that word. Take a break. Like, hold up. Let me dial it
I
back.
like that you
Break
caught
up.
that. Like, hold on. At least
Moses,
I'm logically
Moses
consistent.
is
I,
taking a
I,
break.
I had a, I had a stance, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to use that word." That's not how
It's
Moses
true.
rolls.
That is true. You are definitely
Okay.
consistent. Okay, we have room for one more question.
That's
How can an
someone who like
empath save themselves from narcissistic relationships?
that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's hard. Because when you're an empath, you feel like it's your duty and your responsibility. Like you can naturally feel others and want to kind of
Mm.
take their energy and their mood and like you empathize and you want to change it. You want to fix it. You just naturally like take ownership of other people
Save
and the shit
themselves.
that
I
they have
mean,
going on, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So that's a hard one. What
I
do you
don't know
think?
if
How
like
can an empath save himself from a narcissist?
I wonder how much a narcissist can like change without like some type of like without some level of like self awareness or self like initiation. So it's like I don't know if like if you're an empath, if you keep trying to fix that person, like if it'll stick. I think like it has to like come internally from the narcissist point of view. So I think if to save yourself, you might just have to leave. If it's yeah,
But that goes against what an empath is. Like when they get
makes you wonder.
close to somebody or feel a connection with somebody and this
Makes you
person is
wonder, do
all
a lot of
fucked up, they
narcissists target a lot of
naturally,
empaths,
you
knowing what you
know,
just said?
feel and
Because
empathize
it's like
with,
because you're
yeah, it
making it
makes you wonder
sound
what.
like the way you made it sound like, oh, empaths, like they just get close, they'll never leave. It's like that's like a narcissist wet dream.
Maybe.
like, like I kind of want to like
I'm saying it's harder for them because they're
Mm,
fixers. Like
I see you.
I'm not an empathic person, so I can be like, yeah, you got a lot of shit going on. I'm out. But my sister is the complete
Mm.
opposite. And so she would be like, oh my God,
See you.
I
Do what you
really,
gotta do.
this person, I want to help. And I just be looking at her like, all right, girl, go ahead. Peace. Like, because I know that that's in your nature to want to help. So I don't want to, I've done all I can to kind of, pull you from it and
Hmm.
get you out of that stuff. But empaths, like I don't want to say they feed on helping others. They just can't help
No, I
but to
get that.
feel,
It's hard.
you
I'd
know,
love to look
intuitive,
up
not
like
intuitively, but
I
feel
guess
like
who
what other people
narcissists
are
typically
feeling
like
and want to help. So,
pair up with in like relationships. Like it's all empaths. Like 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 do they know the trick? It's like, ooh. It's like I can.
that's interesting. Yeah.
They're like I want to help them. I want to fix them. It's like they
So
got
are
you.
all of
They
these people
got you.
asking the questions are empaths.
The Venus flytrap. Shh. Gotcha.
Oh, I want to
I mean, this is a
help.
very
Yeah,
sad and
don't
pessimistic
help.
way to think about it because, like,
Yeah.
you feel too much. Like, just care a little less about other people and you'll be
All
fine.
right. So
Yeah.
I know, right? You feel too much. I would say boundaries. I would say if you're an empath,
We have life
set
coach
boundaries
Nikita
and
in the
stick to
building.
those boundaries. I think that will save you
She's like, just say,
from narcissists and toxic people. So,
woo!
all right. Well, that is all we have time
Goodbye,
for.
everybody.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will be back at this time next Saturday.